Activation code required. Access granted. Warning. Evacuation sequence activated.
We're back. Welcome to the bunker.
And good evening. Welcome to the S4 Bunker, coming to you live from the Cascade Mountains here in Concrete, Washington. And it's been a hell of a week.
Yeah, it has. Friend. Ups, downs, friend.
It's like a fucking roller coaster.
It was interesting.
So tonight we have Joe, our geologist and the master of pointy sticks. We have Nikki, our psychic. We have Rick, our upriver paranormal junkie.
Well,
we'll call you that.
Exactly. Thank you.
And we have Harmony, master of the wildcrafter. So how are we all doing?
Yeah, I like that.
How was your all's week? I hope your week was way better than Cole and Kayla and mine.
Whoa.
What?
I won a $3,000 jackpot.
You did.
So my week wasn't that bad.
Wow.
No, well, you had your ups and downs.
Yeah.
Bummer.
Yeah, the heater went out in the van again, but hey.
That sounds about right.
Right? Like,
Hey, I don't know about you guys. I had an excellent week.
I bet you did. You got to sleep in and yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, I imagine. So.
Yeah, I had a really busy week. Thanks for asking.
what were you doing?
I did some editing for the next episode of Tea Time. Did some caregiving for my mom. Did a bunch of teaching with my kids and housework, yard work because it warmed up a little bit. So I was out there doing a bunch of pruning and cleaning up of all the debris that came down during the winds. And yeah, it was very eventful and beautiful many days when it was sunny, and even when it was rainy, it was still gorgeous.
You did yard work in the rain? Because it hasn't freaking stopped here. We're only an hour away.
We're in Washington.
I say, if you're doing yard work, it's with a scuba tank around here. So, yeah, we...
No, I'm cool for that shit.
I feel like I'm in Washington.
Is it still raining there, Joe?
Yeah, it's been flooding like crazy down there.
Joe, is it still raining?
It's raining right now, yeah.
Shit.
Hey, if you go on my Facebook page, you can see I posted a video of the dog barking at the rain, and it's coming down like the biggest storms I ever saw in Washington.
She's going to lose her voice after a while.
Did she get it?
Yeah, she catch the rain.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent.
She caught the rain, barked at it. She wasn't hitting me with a big stick.
Right? You're lucky.
Well, don't piss her off next time. Jesus.
Mm-hmm. So tonight we're talking USOs, unidentified submersible objects.
Apparently that's dolphins.
Dolphins? I can see that.
Well, that's what I thought they were. Yeah.
So, the one I wanted to bring up tonight, too, and I think it was 1200 in the 12th century, 1200 in Japan. I can't remember the exact. It's think ancient Japan, and this being came out of the water, and she looked like a Japanese woman. She looked, I guess, from what they described, somewhat normal, but not. She had a box, which they weren't really sure specifically what it was used
Joe,
for.
you're a sick bastard.
No, but whether it was used for translation, whether she was actually using that to speak, it was technology of some type.
But you showed it near her stomach. Was she a Teletubby?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh,
But-
no.
You know, and you move up through time. We know Columbus in his diaries wrote about watching craft with lights that came in and out of the water. What do you guys think those are?
UFOs coming out of the water.
Do you think they're extraterrestrial craft? Do you think some of the lights in the water are submarines that just people don't know what they're looking at? Do you think?
It's moonbeams. It's moonbeams popping off the icebergs.
Think so?
Like
Swamp
the Care
gas.
Bear? The Care Bear?
Well, I've often wondered if they're like extraterrestrial beings. There's like some inner Earth portal to Agartha or some inner Earth world where these beings are
Like
able
Hollow
to.
Earth?
Huh?
Right. Yeah.
Could you imagine
In
if
one
the portal's
dimension,
not,
it's
Utsuro Bune.
but could you imagine if the portal's actually like in the water? And like you're an
Right.
alien being and you're teenagers and you're like, hey buddy, go through there. It's awesome on the other side.
Or maybe they're saying, it's like the mermaids, like on the story of Little Mermaid, where they're saying, don't go see those humans, they're crazy. And, there's underground networks and lava tubes and all sorts of underground structures that could be used, whether they're naturally formed or not.
Well, my father-in-law was just watching, I think it was today or yesterday, was just watching a show. And they had deep-sea divers that were doing something on the bottom of the ocean. And mer creatures actually came out. That's how they described it.
I believe it.
Now, do you think, I know what I think, but I want your guys' opinions. Do you think mermaids are extraterrestrial? Or do you think they're Pharaoh? Or something else?
I don't think they're either.
What do you think they are?
I think that they live here just like we live here.
So were they always here?
As long as we were. They just live in the water, we live on the land.
Well, now in that case, would they be considered cryptid?
No, they would
No.
be considered a secondary race.
Okay.
Well,
I see
technically,
what
they would
you're
be
saying.
extraterrestrial because they're not
Okay.
living on the land, and terrestrial is land, right?
No,
No,
terrestrial,
terrestrial is
Technically, they would
Earth-based.
terrestrial is of
Well,
Earth.
right. So would they be, if they're on the Earth, would they be Earth creatures, or would they be like intraterrestrial from inside the Earth, or could they even be interdimensional, like from Atlantean or Lemurian, ancient sunken civilization?
I
Well,
hate
see,
Okay,
those.
wait a
Atlantean and
minute.
everything else
Wait
were
a
part
minute.
of Earth.
I was on Atlantis. I'm going to make a clarification.
Atlanta
on it.
or Atlantis?
Atlantis.
Okay, I've been to
I was
Atlanta.
on,
Right.
Do you think any of the creatures could have adapted their DNA to become mermaid creatures?
on Atlantis, there were, I'm going to say hundreds. Keith will probably say thousands, but I'm going to say hundreds because that's how I remember it. During one of my very long lifetimes, because when you're on Atlantis, or when you were on Atlantis, I should clarify that. See, Keith remembers Atlantis going up. He's one of two individuals that I know that remember Atlantis flying up out of the water.
Mm-hmm.
When I was there, in order for them to leave, when I was there, I was killed by a falling ceiling and water coming in, and so I was hit by the ceiling that was collapsing and water coming in, and I remember seeing sky. So there was a section of Atlantis that I know that did not go up in the air. I'm one of two people who has described that, and Keith is one of two people that I know that has described Atlantis raising up out of the ocean and traveling elsewhere. Now I know someone else who's has a memory of being an ET and being what I would classify as a royalty ET. And they were one of a number of ET races that were, because Atlantis, a major issue happened in Atlantis, and it's what caused the issue. Now, regarding the mermaids, there were, I remember, mermaids or merfolk, or a form of what we would call merfolk. There, I mean, they would come up and visit, and interestingly enough, I want to call it a cartoon series. That's not what they call it. It's a movie, the movie Atlantis, with all the different.
I built the bridge. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah,
Like
I
Disney
mean,
or whatever.
yeah, and
Milo.
Yes, that's what I was thinking of. You know, folks sitting on the edge and going down. That's kind of along the lines of how I remember bits of Atlantis when you're dealing with merfolk.
Now, can I ask you, how did you know that you were on Atlantis at that point? Like, do you have a memory of the entire past life, or just pieces?
I have a large amount of sections. I don't have the entire. I can describe to you large sections of the city. I can describe to you.
Yeah, but I mean, during the period.
Security. I was head of security. Okay.
During the period when the flooding came into the ceiling, right? Is it because you recognized the hall or the area you were in that you knew you were in Atlantis, and not, like, let's say, in a different past life on the Titanic?
Yes, there were things on the ceiling that I knew that were Atlantean. There were things on the floor. There were tiles on the specific kind of tiles on the floor. There were you'd walk out a security door, and what you and I would classify as a security door, and there was an open air hall, what I would call an open air hall, in the corridor, and you'd have pillars that were designed a very specific way. People were dressed most Atlanteans were dressed in specific types of clothing. It's not what a lot of... It's kind of along the lines of Grecian, but not Grecian or Minoan.
Was Poseidon there?
No.
So do you think merfolk seen today are remnants of the old Atlantis before it left?
That's a great question. I think that they are before Atlantis.
Okay.
That's what I tend to believe.
Right.
I would be very fascinated to hear what Keith would have to say about it, because of the fact that some of my memories he can pin. Okay, what I've learned about Keith is that when I describe to him certain memories that I've had, or he and I've had private conversations, which has not been very often. I make it sound like it's often. It's not. But when we have, there have been things that he has described to me that trigger my memories. They trigger more advanced memories that I have
So
of Atlantis or of other conversations.
So it could be possible you and Keith were in the same lifetime at the same time
Yes.
on Atlantis. Then.
Well, I would not have made that known, but since you have, yes, we were.
Right.
Yeah, and we made that determination. So he told me who he was and what he knew, and I told him what I knew and what I remembered, and it jived. I mean, it so much jived. I was like, oh my God, there's not very many people that I know in my lifetime, in this lifetime, that can definitively, we can have conversations. I've had numerous conversations with other people about Atlantis and about other lifetimes where I and they have been in, and we will describe things back and forth, and it is like massive memories all over again. But regarding the merfolk, I believe that they were here before Atlantis.
So are you going to say that Atlantis was built by people on Earth, or is it a spaceship?
I don't remember it being a spaceship. Funny enough, I have very defined memories regarding security because I was head of security. And for me to make that claim just boggles my mind, but there are very specific things that I have been told by other people, strangers I might add, that have told me to my face, oh my God, I know you, I remember you, you were in Atlantis and you did, and it would trigger all these other memories that I would have, and I could give you, I mean, like, beyond description, I mean, just minute details that aren't minute, they in the grand scheme of things. And so I have more, funny enough, I have more memories between Atlantis, the memory of Atlantis, the memory that I have of, I was just about to out myself on this, and I'm not ready to do that yet. I have a specific memory of being in Egypt.
Do it.
And who I was in Egypt. I have a specific memory of being in Russia and who I was, and I have a specific memory of the lifetime before Russia. There are 4 memories, 4 lifetimes that I have the most memories on, and I treasure all of those memories because they have all taught me something. But the merfolk, I believe they were a transplant. Now, I would be very fascinated to hear what Keith would have to say on this, but I believe that they were a transplant. Just like humans. So, but that's just...
That's what I'm saying. I think they're a different evolutionary process during the same time period.
The Atlanteans or
Merfolk.
I think the merfolk came before the humans, is what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, the ancient indigenous stories usually start with us coming from the waters and then adapting to the land. So I, agree with that.
Yeah, it's kind of fascinating
Well, they talk about us being fish people.
I think that depends on what tribe you're talking to.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Mine definitely doesn't believe that.
You're a landlocked province, dude.
Yeah.
You came from the mountains.
Evolved from Sasquatch.
No.
Friend, we literally were just created. It is an Adam and Eve type story.
Okay.
Friend, we were created by the Creator. Friend.
That's common. Well, okay. That's common with a good majority of them, isn't it?
Yeah.
Different creators, but
Yeah.
And then, of course, you got the Dogon, which that's an African tribe, but they came
Dogon.
from the stars. I mean, so,
Yeah.
but still indigenous.
But we just also had a major breakthrough in scientific discovery for the Seven Nations.
Okay.
Really?
They just figured out for certain that we were here before the land bridge.
Damn.
Yeah.
There
Okay,
is a
that just makes
possibility.
my
I heard about
soul
that.
happy.
There is a possibility we are not from Africa.
Well, no.
No,
That's a
the
strong
belief for the last
possibility.
20,
There's,
20 to 50 years, the strong belief was that all humans originated from the continent of Africa.
Okay. I got you.
Nope, you're North American based.
They have archaeological digs down in South America and Central America, and they've dated them to long before the land bridge existed.
Yes.
And the people that came out with that, they were absolutely ridiculed and thrown out of science because they were going against the grain.
Well, and then we all freaked out because they discovered, about 10 years ago, they discovered Viking bones
Right.
that predated anything we found for North American Indian tribes.
Mhm.
And we're like, oh shit, white man does own it. But now we have actual concrete proof that we are the first.
You were here before the white man.
Yes. Friend, I would like to ask Joe what the hell. Okay, these pictures, Joe. That first one, that's a cheese grater.
What's that?
That first picture, that's a cheese grater. Look at what she's
It looks
holding.
a little odd. And obviously, she's got a big block of cheese.
Yeah.
Like
And
that
that,
is cheese.
that little pattern that's on that UFO, the pattern on that UFO matches the burn marks that were on that Canadian guy, the radiation burns with all the little dots
Yeah.
all over him. Remember that?
Mm-hmm.
But
Oh,
like,
yeah.
What was that? I can't remember the.
But this is, do you remember a date
Now,
on the pictures?
here's the thing. Before we get too far, there's another thing that Cole didn't share. It had her name. It's Yatsubuni or something, and it was 19th century, so it was in the 1800s.
Okay.
hold on, let me grab it.
Before we get too far away from Atlantis, I've heard people arguing both ways. Atlantis was a spaceship. No, it was an island. No, it was an island. No, it was a spaceship. What's to say it wasn't an island? And when it started getting disasterized, a bunch of the scientists saved their asses by taking off in the spaceship they invented, and everybody else was toast.
Okay, now here's
Or the
what I
city
know
was
about
so
that.
That way
advanced
you have
that
both of them. It
turned
works
into
both
a
ways.
spaceship.
Well, the thing is, both of them are right.
When the city was partially destroyed because part of it did sink. Not from what I know, part of it did sink. Now,
And,
what I know from others is that a big part of it was raised into the air. Now, what I also know is that as head of security, I was ordered by the government because Atlantis had a very strict, oh my God, you think our governments across the globe had strict guidelines for their countries? Ain't nothing compared to what Atlantis had. The crap I had to deal with politically, are you freaking kidding me? Anyway, the point is that I had the responsibility to get numerous quote unquote royal families off Atlantis.
Wait, there was
were
more
my
than one?
first there were multiple races that were considered royal. Many races that were considered royalty on Atlantis. That's not something you hear talked about in a lot of these BS entertainment television shows. God, they piss me off. Sorry.
And to be fair with
That's
that,
not.
Kayla,
You don't hear about
England
that.
has 3 royal families. So,
Well, there are a lot more. There were more than 20 royal families on Atlantis. That I remember. And to get all of them off planet, off of Earth, as there were major issues. There were so many ships coming in, or as one of my friends said to me, Nikki, I know who I was in that lifetime, and our family, I'm getting chills. The hairs on my arms are going straight up. Our family was rushed. We went running. Okay, now I got the hair on my legs going straight up. Oh, Jesus. I don't have hair on my legs. Oh. I
love that.
I'm totally clean shaven on my legs, and I'm like goose pimples everywhere, freaking me out. Anyway, the point is that they told me their family was ordered by security. They had a group of security personnel getting their entire family, even the children from schools, and getting them on board space shuttles, of whatever kind. I don't remember the shuttles. I remember the sound, and I remember my hands on. I remember the sound of shuttles coming and going really, really fast off of Atlantis, and I remember my hands and the other security personnel that were underneath me, under my command, had our hands on giant crystal spheres, and we were moving things by these gigantic crystal spheres. I mean, when I say gigantic crystal spheres, I'm talking larger than a couch, larger than 6 to 8 feet in diameter. These things were freaking huge, and we were moving energy by the palms of our hands, okay? And getting different security things going as fast as we possibly could. Those energy, that energy that was going on those, for lack of a better word, globes of crystals, were allowing our security personnel to allow ships to land in central part of Atlantis, and then remove people and others coming in, because there was so much security involved in that. And I have a dear friend that I consider, she's kind of like a daughter and kind of like a sister at the same time. And she was under my command. She was my head, my number one, the Star Trek Next Generation. You know, you got Picard, and then you've got Riker. She was my number 2. Okay? And it's weird how we've all come together in this lifetime and how we've all met up.
Soul circles, man.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you talk about...
I have a question. Speaking of that, I don't want to ruffle any feathers, but how come whenever someone says, oh, I remember my past life I was on Atlantis, they're part of the royal family, or they're a scientist, or they're head of security, how come the guy that shovels the horse poop out of the street doesn't ever get reincarnated?
Because do you want to remember that damn like if you had to remember a past
karma, he got out of it.
I remember a pitchfork in a stable.
I've met people who in this lifetime have talked about being a teacher to children. I've met people talking about, I was an underling to a priest, or to the I can't think of what they are classified, but there were numerous lower downs to like the high priest.
Right, but Joe, you're talking more of like I was a homeless drug addict, right?
Yeah, and we
Do the low class people never reincarnate?
Oh yeah, they always.
And they do.
Nobody was see, that's the thing, Joe. Nobody was considered low class. It was so very different. It was so very.
Yeah, but you never hear
So
the
it was like
thing
it was
that
like living
I
in
worked
Denmark.
In the palace. I was the guy that carried the chamber pot
You know,
That's what I said. Why would you
everything-
want to remember that life, though, Joe? Maybe they just block
Why
it
would you
out
wanna
because they're like,
brag
oh,
about
fuck it.
Because maybe they really enjoyed their job.
Scrubbing a chamber pot?
No, but
Yeah.
all the
Yeah.
depictions and all the
But-
documentaries and all the
Maybe
shit
he was the
that
best
I've seen about
shit
Atlantis,
shoveler in the
they
realm.
took care of their citizenry.
Shit, shovel
Right?
Oh my god.
Joe, I'm gonna tell you something, Joe. I remember a lifetime of being in France. There's a lifetime, I remember about 100 lifetimes. No joke, between 98 and 99, 100 lifetimes. There's a lifetime I remember in France that I wouldn't, no. The things yuck. There's a lifetime that I remember in England that was, I mean, back before King Arthur.
Oh, okay.
And you
I was going to
wanted
be like, were you Jack the Ripper?
you want to talk about shoveling shit. You want to talk about having to do things the extreme hard way. It was so filthy gross. You want to talk, I can tell you, I can tell you long stories about numerous different lifetimes I have had to where you're shoveling shit. You're bent over trying to milk a cow where it is so God blessed frickin' cold out that your hands, and you can't keep your animals warm enough, let alone keep yourself warm enough. And you're having to walk through muck and mire because it is so filthy.
And hey, Joe,
The average person lived to be 32 years old.
yeah, but if you were a dumpster diver during King Tutankhamun's time, would you really want to talk about it?
Well, fuck yeah, if I remembered it, I totally would. I'd be all like, yeah, they had light bulbs and shit was crazy.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, half of the stuff that Nikki talked about in her past lives has already happened to me this life. So, I mean, to be perfectly honest.
Exactly.
Yep.
Hey, I've shoveled shit.
Yep.
Yep.
It's not fun.
Joe, did you teach your
not-
2
fucking
weeks
dog how
ago,
to
we
cook?
cleaned out the chickens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Joe? Did you teach your
Yeah.
dog how to fucking cook?
Not yet.
Then what the fuck is she doing with the pots
Although
and
when I am
pans?
cooking, she stands between me and the stove.
Because I can hear... Someone is rattling pots and pans in the background. And the only thing I think of
No,
is
that
the
ain't
dog.
me.
No, she's got a pointy stick with a hot dog on it headed to the fire.
Yep.
No, she's eating a blanket right now. Being very quiet.
Is that
She's
our
shit
dog?
out colored threads now.
She's eating a blanket?
Yeah, she's getting
Yeah.
shit out colored threads.
Yeah.
Rainbow shit.
Oh, yeah. She
Woohoo!
barked up something the other day about the size of a football. It was all cloth and these neat little colored papers. And she's like a goat.
God. Yeah.
Awesome.
But when she was in Atlantis, she was a royal steed.
So I think I think both stories are right. I do think a part of the part of Atlantis did rise. I've been saying that for quite a few years.
I'm actually having a new thought on that.
But
I'm thinking it didn't make it. I'm thinking it was a ship, but it never rose again. I think it's still down there. I think it's broken.
Well, here's the thing. Because remember, they found on the bottom of the ocean a ring of pillars.
But think of what Nikki just described.
Right.
She just described getting people off in shuttles.
See, here's
Okay.
what I want to know.
Emergency shuttles.
Where was
Right.
it?
That, no one... Oh, the pillars?
Sorry?
No,
I don't remember.
Nikki. So, if you were head of security, then you'd know the island pretty well, right?
Yeah.
So, where
description-
in the
Hang on a
United
second.
or in the world were you?
We were, oh god, I'm gonna get into trouble for this. And I don't care. I don't give two shits.
Were you off the Spanish coast?
Sort of.
They have a huge natural wetlands there. It's massive, and they've used radar and they found circular structures underneath it, but it's illegal to even disturb the dirt in the place.
Yeah.
Right.
And the size of the structures, it all matches. It's right on the Spanish coast. It's inland. It's all filled in with dirt now, but they think,
Here's
know
the
why?
thing.
when they put down, they can see that there are structures there.
Because the ship's still there.
We were on water. Okay.
It's
I
an
remember
island.
us being on
Well, it was then.
water, an island.
Yeah.
But here's the other thing.
You gotta
We
remember
did-
back then, the oceans were deeper than they are now.
No, they were much deeper than they are now.
Yeah.
Now here's the thing. Here's the thing. Not only were we an island to ourselves, we did. When it's interesting because in the last 4 or 5 years, I actually have, for the first time in my entire lifetime, I've actually heard scientists or the science community or archaeology community talk about the fact that they are finding historical items to show that the Egyptians and the Minoans and the Greeks all did trade with not only each other, but with other forms of something that they can't quite define yet. And I'm like, hello, it's freaking Atlantis! Because I remember
Element 113.
Jesus. I remember many aspects of the different humans coming in, and we did trade. And I have friends who have stories of the same damn thing. And when we came together and made the realization, oh my God, we were in this lifetime together. Oh my God, do you remember? No, I don't remember that specific part of it, but I remember this, and it all meshed. It was like one
puzzle together.
long freaking. It was like one long freaking story, and it's like if I could, my goal is to put all of us together in a room and record it, because this is our lifetimes. And if people saw this, and instead of phone, there's a certain person that just irritates just my hackles go up. Anytime I hear him talk about, and I don't typically, I hear it on advertisements, whether it's Facebook, YouTube, regular well, I don't watch regular TV anymore, but when I did, there were advertisements with him on a specific show, and I'm like, dude,
Crazy
I want to
hair.
smack the shit out of him, because the information that he talks about Atlantis on, I'm like, you got half of that right. The other half of it is not accurate.
Dude, 94% of what he says is not right.
Drives me nuts. Drives me absolutely nuts, because he's putting out crap.
Oh,
And
wait, let's
it's like,
combine them both. Zach Sucralose.
We all came together. If all of us that were on Atlantis came together in this lifetime and started actually really truly describing, that would be a show. Because you would have accurate memories. People are describing sections. And it's mind-boggling. The stuff that Keith had talked about.
I can understand how you're mad at Sucralose and those people on those shows, but honestly, when they do talk, they say, "What if?" and "Is it possible that?"
Yes.
Isn't that? They usually don't state these things.
but
this is the way
Joe.
it was. Period. There's no argument about it.
But the thing
They
is,
do
Joe,
say,
what
"This is what we think. It
what's
might
his
be
favorite?
This, it's possibly that."
What's his favorite statement? I'm not going to say it's aliens, but it's aliens. I mean, come on. Not everything.
Well, I don't think he ever actually said that.
The memes do, and that's all that matters.
The interesting thing is that he talks about the species, the names of the species of the ETs. Some of that's accurate. From what I remember when I
He's
had
not-
the
He's getting
advertisement.
it from other people.
Yeah,
and
but
stories.
whether it's coming from him or somebody else, whoever is providing that information, half of that's accurate, because every time I hear a proper name of a race, my insides go ba-ding ding ding. I mean, like alarm bells go off, and it's like, that's accurate. Oh, that's crap. That's crap. Nope, that's accurate.
So
Okay, and I mean absolutely no offense to you at all here,
No,
Nikki.
Totally,
but
totally fine. What you
going
need to,
off
okay.
of one person's description of it, they
No,
could be
it's just
saying
not-
the same exact thing about
It's
you
just-
as
He's the one that drives me nuts.
Too close.
Oh yeah, they can say the same thing about me, and I get
You know
that.
what I
That's
mean.
why I know exactly what you mean. That's why I say get all of us together, not just one
Right.
person, not just two people, but an entire
you get
group
the
of
whole picture.
that have
Mhm.
spent. Yes, I mean because
So I have an off the wall question for you.
Well, hold on. I have an idea. I
Okay.
agree with you guys. We get everyone together and we hang all the people on Ancient Aliens.
Yeah.
Is that what you meant, right? Right.
I'm not commenting on that.
Hey, so you've heard of the Voynich
Actually,
manuscript?
this is
I've heard of the what?
The Voynich manuscript.
Voynich.
Yeah.
No one can read it.
Could that be from Atlantis?
No.
oh, that's the herbal one, yeah.
It's not just herbal.
The magical
It's a
plant.
Yeah, lots
whole
of
But it has
plants.
the
it's a
magical
whole bunch of
has the
different
magical
shit.
plant drawings in it.
Yeah. So what's your
Yeah.
thoughts?
Yeah. No one's been able to decipher it.
Well,
It doesn't match any language.
there are different stories about that because So when I do research, I actually pull about 5 or 6 different sources, so I get different viewpoints. And of course, they all conflict each other. But who's right? You look at you look at all the puzzle pieces out of all 5 of those videos, and you kind of get a better picture. But
Okay.
some museum orators or whatnot say, "Oh yeah, we've deciphered a part of it," and the other ones say, "No, they haven't." So I don't think they have.
No, they haven't.
Okay, here's something to think about. On Earth right now,
Mhm.
there are numerous races of ETs,
Right.
underground, underwater, and on their own islands. I was given a major download 2 years ago from a race of ET. I don't know how the hell they found me. Why me out of everybody else? And they gave me their timeline story of how they got to Earth. Well, not so much how they got here, but the fact that they got here, they landed, they were able to blend in, even though they were over a foot taller than everybody else at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And they...
Me too.
And you're talking an entire, you're talking hundreds of people. And what I want to say is that it's like they crash landed.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how else to say it any other way, but what I was shown to me, that would be a crash landing.
They were the Vulcans.
But the point is
Yeah, I saw
that
that.
they were able to blend in as humans. They all had a specific colored long hair. All of them long hair. They looked statuesque. They were...
That sounds like the Nordics.
Yeah, but they're not the... I do know this. They're not the Nordics.
No?
They're not the Nordics. They've got a very specific name to the... And I've yet to hear it anywhere or anybody speak it. And I can't even pronounce it. I can't pronounce the race that they are. And anytime I've ever asked anybody about it, oh yeah, we've heard of that island. It's a mysterious island. It comes and goes. And I'm like, what is this island? Is it like, not Blue Lagoon?
No, that's a naked island.
The island
Plymouth.
that comes and goes in Ireland, the
Oh,
Hi,
Brigadoon.
Brazil.
Brigadoon. Yeah, it's Brazil. It's
Yeah.
High Brazil. High Brazil is the name of the
It's
island.
called High Brazil. It's off the Irish coast. It's on all the
Yes.
maps, but no one
It's
can really
in-
find it.
Hyperborean.
And you know why? Because they have it cloaked.
Why?
yeah. That makes sense, actually.
It's a cloaked island, and it
Kind of like
is-
Wakanda.
it's a real
Exactly.
island.
Earth is Europe.
Forever.
Do you think it's like cloaked with interdimensional energy, and that's why people from a certain consciousness can't see it, or do you think it's like a
No, it's
alien
cloaked
kind of
with-
technology?
It's alien tech. I know that.
Mm-hmm.
And they
There's
literally
another
showed
there's
me
another
how
island off the Great Barrier Reef.
Bikini
There's another island off the Great Barrier Reef off of Australia. No, we know where that is. We blew the shit out of that one. No, this is an island. It was on all the maps. It's specific location, and you go there and there's nothing there.
Yes, I've seen that too. It's crazy.
That's the first I've heard of that one. No, this one is, they showed me exactly where the island was, how far it was away from the land, how
looks like
it all came about. They realized that because of their race's ability to be alive longer than the human race could, that they needed to get their entire population away from all the villages. And by this point, they had been with all of the outlying and inland villages. They had completely spread out. You're talking hundreds ETs.
I don't blame them. Hell, that's why I live upriver.
Hey, can they procreate?
Yes, they did. That's what I was going to say. They had families. They interbred with humans. They took their families, those who would go with them, and left.
Well, then how?
And they did it in small amount by small amount, and then one large group of them, about 50 of them, all left at the same time, never to return to Ireland, what they were calling Ireland at the time. And I say Ireland in quotations because of the way it was told to me. And it was, and these people, I can still picture them. If I had somebody that was a professional sketch artist draw these people, I mean, they are gorgeous. They are model-esque. They are, and what I would love to know is how their race is doing now. Because they've been there.
Let me see. You say they're tall, they're statuesque, they're gorgeous, they got long hair.
Vampires.
I think I'm related to them.
Athenians.
Joe, she said gorgeous. Remember?
Yeah.
Oh,
Now,
Oh.
now I do know this. One of their, I'm gonna call, I've blacked it. I don't remember well, not only I do remember the species, I just can't frickin' pronounce it. I can't even sound it out. Normally, I can sound out almost any kind of race of ET. Well, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
that
If they landed here, bred with humans, and then spread out across the planet, is that why
No, they did
people
not
in
spread
ancient
out.
times, humans, were a lot shorter? Wait, well,
They did not spread out across the planet. They spread over Ireland.
they left
And
the island.
then they brought,
Well,
and then they
that's-
brought them. No, Joe, listen. Then they brought them back after about 80 years, somewhere between the 50 to 80 year mark. They brought them all back and
So
said,
Including their
Boy.
illegitimate children?
yes. And they brought
Yeah.
them back, and well, no, wait a minute. They got into the culture. They got into the Irish culture. They had traditional marriages. They
So
did
two
the
species
the
come to
whole
mind
thing.
with Celtic lore, Irish lore, is the Fomorians or the Tuatha. The Tuatha De
Yes.
Really? Because what I was thinking of was the Vila.
Huh? Huh?
Vila.
Oh.
Okay.
Beautiful,
You have to describe them
statuesque.
to Describe them to me.
Okay.
Describe their
Tall.
hair. See,
Okay.
I've never told anybody the hair
All right.
color. I've never told anybody the eye color. I've never described if they've got short brown faces, tall long faces, anything. I've never described any of that.
Okay.
I've always said they are tall and statuesque and model-esque. That I've said.
So, semi-human magical beings, beautiful women with white gold hair and skin that appears to shine moon bright.
And who is that race?
That's
The
the
Vila.
Vila.
Ah, okay.
But the thing is, we don't know where this actually came from. Oh, yes, we do. It's
Right.
Slavic.
They're Slavic.
Oh, the Slavic
So-
races.
When angry, Vila take on a less pleasant appearance. Their faces elongate into sharp, cruel, beaked bird heads. Birds aren't real. And long, scaly wings burst from their shoulders. But
But they aren't. Hummingbirds
their
are.
eyes
They're
are various colors, mostly blue. They prefer to live in bodies of water and have power and ability over storms. So this originally came from Slavic mythology, but they are a race in Harry Potter. That's how we know them.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Friend, because Fleur Delacour, when they do
yeah.
the Triwizard
She was
Tournament.
part Vila.
Yes.
Right.
Friend, and but we had to look them up to remember what her race was, and when you do it, it actually comes up as a Slavic mythology.
Right.
So,
Which I've been
because
studying.
like a lot of her stuff, she got from
Hagrid
different
looks
mythologies.
Slavic.
Yeah, a lot of.
Hagrid looks haggard.
He looks like Merlin.
Hagrid looks way worse now. I'm sorry.
It looks Slavic.
He
Okay,
does though.
well, the humans at the time were not much taller than 5'8". These ETs were well over 6 feet.
Okay.
They were not 7 feet tall, but they were
Oh, my.
definitely 6'2", 6'5". Okay,
Right.
so they were well above the height
Well, the people. It sounds like Chihuahua to me.
of the regular. Yeah. Beautiful voices.
He's
Caucasian.
just describing me over and over and over.
And Caucasian, I've never described it any other way. There are it's weird because ever since the download, I've been rather protective of them, and I have not been able to figure out why. There are a lot of things I will talk about and describe, but there are certain things I've yet to describe, and there's a lot of things that you have just described that are similar but not exact. So, and the name is not right.
No,
Because
yeah, I
name-
kind
Every
of
language
figured.
has a different.
I kind
name.
of figured you would know if we said the name.
It would ring a bell, and
it
it's
would
not
ping
even
with you.
close. Yeah, and it's not even close.
So it makes you wonder. USOs.
Yeah.
Could they be former craft from Atlantis? Could they be Atlanteans visiting here and there? Could they be the race that you're talking about off the coast of Ireland that are coming and going? And
Could
they're
they
gonna
be
disappear in
underground
the water?
military bases?
No, I don't think so.
Hey,
Not
Underwater military bases?
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. I don't. They could be underwater sub bases, possibly, but I've never seen
I'm gonna tell you.
I've never seen a sub fly out of the water.
I'm going to tell you.
It was a
something,
narwhal.
When the UFO team, in 2019 when the UFOI team did
With the unicorn.
we went and did a search. I can't think of what it's called at this second. My brain is like, I'm trying to get to the information and my brain is not giving me the proper. Anyway, we all went to, or quite a few of us went and did this research on Whidbey Island.
Okay.
And
That's where I grew up.
yeah, we went and talked with, oh my God. I can't think of names right now. There's a specific guy that's in ufology. Actually, he's worked for government. You guys would know his name. I just can't think of his name. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Anyway, we went and the
Daryl Sims?
No. No.
You talk about
Professor something. Professor
Heineck?
something.
Heineck?
No. Anyway, the point is that we all went and spoke with witnesses of UFOs from the 1960s.
Okay.
And interviewed them. And afterwards, about half of us went and did a skywatch on the island, on one of these little itty bitty parks on the island. And every time, and I have known my entire life, every time I go through Nevada, there's a certain lake I can't go near because I get violently ill, and I want to, I want to curl up into a ball like a little baby and just cover my head and my whole body, and I panic. I get into a hardcore panic. My point with that story is that when we were doing the Skywatch, I'm trying to think of, so somewhere between 11 o'clock and 1:30 in the morning. We're out there, there's a number of us out there, and we're talking at different times. And all of a sudden, I get a really intense, I walk up to there's a chain link fence that was about 4 feet tall or so. I walk up to the chain link fence and I'm like, God, this is a beautiful night. And I turn to my right and all of a sudden I get that feeling that I just described to you guys. And I was like, what the F was that? And I turned to my left, no more feeling. And that was when I realized I could tell that there was an underwater base. And I went and talked to a known ET abductee. I'm not going to say who, so I'm not going to out him. Although he's already out, but I'm not going to out him. And I asked him, I said, when you get around the ETs, is this the kind of feeling you get? And I described it, and he goes, yeah. Because I get a little on the sick side. And I'm like, yeah, I'm wanting to panic and run away. I haven't had this kind of feeling since I was a child. And I said, this is what I classify as, quote unquote, the bad ETs. Now I'm telling you this because I was able to figure out that my gut inside is like a honing beam to these specific ETs, specific kind of ETs that I believe are reptilian. And I found, yes, and I have stated ever since, and I have publicly stated ever since, somebody that has money, that has a yacht, some kind of vessel that has sonar, because when I got back, I am here to tell you, I figured out exactly where this MFing thing was. I know exactly where this, and it is. There is, or there was, I haven't been back to that spot on Whidbey Island to be sure it's still there.
Can it be seen from Deception Pass?
No.
Okay.
Like south end of Whidbey Island?
In middle, south towards the middle. Yeah.
Oh,
Like
okay.
You'll
Greenland
figure it out.
or Green Bank?
You'll
Cool.
figure it out if you know.
Well, now,
It'd be
It's
west
on
of.
the east side. It's on the east side.
Oh, east of Coopville.
Yeah. So, okay, my
I
point
know where you're at.
is when I got home the following day, I got a map out, and I got a top. Oh my God, Joe, what the hell are those called? Topographical.
Topographical.
Thank you.
Topographic.
Yep, a topo map.
Topo map. So I got one of those maps out.
Hey, while you got me for a second, that
Yeah.
lake in Nevada you don't like, is it Walker Lake near Hawthorne?
Yes.
Hmm.
It's an ET.
I knew it.
It's an ET military base, and every time I go by there, it gets to the point, Joe, where I almost pass out. It gets that bad. I cannot spend any time.
I know that lake.
45 minutes before that town and that lake, I start getting sick. By the time I hit that lake, the edge of that, the north end of that lake, I am violently ill. By the time I end up to where you go to make that left-handed turn to the next part of that highway, I'm almost to the point I'm shaking, and it ain't from the frickin' heat.
Oh, come on.
What are the chances that I'd pick the one lake that you were talking about?
Right.
Yeah.
That is a weird place.
I cannot be around that place, and it is, to me, my body reacts to it, and my body reacts to ETs exactly a specific race of ETs is how my body reacts to it, and I know this because anytime I'm around that race of ETs, I'm like, no, get me the hell out of here now.
Hey,
They
Nikki,
are juju.
have you ever encountered any of the people from the Seattle contactee group?
Are you talking about Supon?
No. It's
Then no, I haven't.
it's a meetup group for contactees.
No, I haven't. Put it in a somewhere.
I don't have it anymore. This was years ago. I reached out to them because I was trying to find. This is back when we were doing FMP, and I was trying to find a peer support group for alien abductees. And when I reached out to them, they were, we don't believe in abductees because we're contactees.
It's the same freaking thing. Okay, calm down.
So
Well, they didn't actually get abducted.
personally, I do see a difference. I see contactees as the ones that think all aliens are space brothers. And, oh my God, they're here to save the world. Whereas abductees are the ones that are taken against their will, have processes done to them. Some of them, yes, they have benevolent activity. They make friends, but But on both sides. The thing is, on both sides, I kind of see symptoms of Stockholm syndrome. To be honest with you.
Yes.
So, yeah.
I have ETs that I dearly love being around, and I have other ETs that I'm around that I'm like, hi, how you doing? What's going on? You know, like what's up? What do you want? And then I have ETs that are they're not full-blooded reptilian, but they're in that category. And I know Lynn Hurley is like, no, reptilians are not bad. No, some reptilians are really not. They're actually pretty good.
Right.
But the ones I experienced when I was a child, they're not little, freaking bastards. The ones that shattered the roof of my mouth and changed the entire way. Yeah, no, those I would like to have out in space without the advantage of any kind of and keep them there, just hanging out like loons.
I know you'll agree with some races they empathize. They don't understand pain. They don't understand they're harming
No,
you.
they don't.
But
They do not have-
there's the extreme of the other side where they love torture, and that's all they fucking are there for.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yep. But then you've got the other side, Eric, that is, they're still learning about feelings and pain, but if they hurt you and you say something or you're screaming in your head, you're like, "Are you okay? Oh, I'm
Right.
so sorry. I did not mean my intention. Not mean their language. They're very legalistic. So they'll
thing
think
is-
they did not intend to hurt you.
But if they hurt you, if they harm you, I believe most of them have the ability to heal the harm they've done.
Yes, they do.
And
Yes, they
the
do.
masking of the memory is partially to take the trauma away from what they've done to you.
Mm-hmm.
Partially.
Yes.
Right.
Not always.
Yeah. So yeah, there's a number of different reasons why they mask, but yeah.
And Rick,
Anyway,
Rick,
Like giving your data roofie.
you're right. So that's not
That always works for me.
that lake facility is not our military. That would be an alien race facility.
No. Okay. The one that's
No, the
out-
military is all around it. In fact, outside there's a bomb disposal and storage area
Oh,
in
is this by-
Hawthorne, and if
is
you
this
go
by
by
Area
the
51?
lake, if you go by Walker Lake, it says Submarine Underwater Training Facility, U.S. government.
Correct. Correct.
Okay. Never mind. I thought you were talking about alien base.
Eric
Ours
and
are
Eric.
landlocked too.
Huh?
Ours are
Eric.
landlocked too.
Doesn't mean the aliens aren't there.
True.
Fort Cabell, Saskatchewan is our underwater training facility.
Yeah.
And
That's
Eric, the ET base that is out in Puget Sound, and there's more than one of them because I've been able to find 3.
Okay.
There's that one is an ET U.S. military base. Okay, because I got psychic hits, hardcore freaking psychic hits on ET races and human race together combined in that one location. But what triggered me was the ET race that is using the humans and that the humans are using them.
That's not by chance near Maury Island, is it?
No, that's much farther north. Excuse me.
Okay.
Yeah, the interesting thing is that I haven't found because I have
Not far if you're in a UFO.
Right.
Yeah, true.
Not far from the by the alien flies. Yeah.
Well, I'm here to tell you there is some sort of underwater something off of between Whidbey Island and Camino Island. There's something under there, and I haven't. But get this: in 2019, in October of 2019, I had a friend. He and his then fiance, now wife, were out camping on Whidbey Island, and they were ear witness and partial eyewitness to something that was going on military-wise over the water between Whidbey and the inlet. I can't think of what the hell that waterway is called. Between
Puget
Whidbey
Sound.
Island. No, Puget Sound's on the other side. You've got Whidbey Island, and then
So the thing is that whole area up there is all
That's what it
military.
is,
I
isn't
mean, you've got
yes,
Yeah.
Yes.
one of the biggest submarine bases in the world
The
there.
NAS.
There's tons of military.
Of course, it would attract off-planet.
what I was
Attention.
going
Yeah, that's not the San.
What
That's not the San Juan de Fuca, is it?
I
Right.
think so. But what I was going to say was that when I was asked privately by him to check it out, the information that I got was that an ET ship crashed, and both me and another psychic that I know went in and went on a video chat with each other, and the information that we were getting off of that was that it didn't just crash. They had ETs that the military admiral, the head honcho, who was pissed royal and wanting to quote unquote save those deep little green beep beep beep. I mean the expletives. It was very, very safe. He was not a happy boy.
No.
And I know where they collected them. They had quite a few of the and they were the small race of grays, but they also were green. And because that was something that this admiral was very specific about. And I know where they transported them to. Ha! Which I made publicly known, and boy, did I get told by the other side. They were pissed at me for, the government was pissed at me for verbalizing any of that. And I was like, I don't give a rat's ass. I'm not telling you where they took them. I'm telling you I know how they were picked up. I know how that they were transported, and I know where they were transported to.
They took them to
They were
Fort
transported by train, by rail car.
Because I had a dog that...
And other than that...
I know, but earlier she wrapped up in the... There we go. Now I can hear you.
It was fascinating. It was truly fascinating how they were transported. I thought, wow, okay. You're transporting them by railroad.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, that makes sense because who's going to think, yeah, there's a train full of aliens.
Oh, yeah. But no kidding.
They're looking for a semi with a UFO wrapped up in, kind of, oh wait, that was Texas, never mind.
They had a whole group of them. But here's the thing. It was underwater. It was near an underwater, some kind of underwater, lack of better phrasing, a small base.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, why couldn't they just get them from there? But apparently they couldn't. But well, I do know
they're screwed. They're screwed.
There's a base
they're screwed when the Cascadia subduction zone decides to.
To go bye-bye.
They're off the west coast. I keep saying east. They're off the west coast of Whidbey Island. I keep saying east. I don't know why I keep saying east.
Yeah.
My apologies.
No.
Off the west, not between Camino.
The crash happened on the east side. The base, the big base, between U.S. military and ET is off the west coast. It's hunkered down. It's hunkered.
Yeah, my mom saw something over there coming down over the water. Her and her friend saw it simultaneously. It was about 3 months ago, and they said it looked almost like a missile. And it was coming down. They live like in the Freeland area, which is like a little south from the middle.
Yeah.
She was very adamant that it was very interesting, and then it just kind of like went out of sight, came in an instant, and then it was gone before they knew it, and they couldn't take out their cameras to take a picture because it happened so quickly.
What's the island across from Anacortes?
Friday Harbor.
No. I'll put it in
Orcas Island.
The small one.
I'll put it in the chat. I'll put it in the private chat.
Hat Island. Hat Island.
Mm-hmm. The one that people live on.
Friday Harbor.
Orcas Island.
No, it won't matter when Rainier goes up.
Oh, I don't know.
It's like a 2-car ferry that takes you to it.
I don't know.
Anyway, so
I don't go places.
Yeah, there are underwater bases.
Baby Island.
I know there's a couple of bases. Canada.
Baby Island.
No, it's an island. You go all the way into Anacortes to the water, and there's this little 3-car ferry boat that will take you across this very small channel to an island that Guimas. It's Guimas Island.
Oh.
Now you go to Guimas Island. Oh my God, the people there have stories.
Queens.
Yeah. Guimas. Yeah. Not island.
Weems Island.
Huh?
Weems Island.
Weems Island. Okay.
Weemy.
But I was talking to some of the locals there. This was a couple of years back, and oh my God, they're talking about craft in the sky coming and going out of the water all the time. and that would be in the Salish Sea, which is between Weems and Bellingham.
Right.
And
Well, I'm getting
but think about it. You got Lummi Island right in the same area, which is nothing but. You got all kinds of stories coming from the native tribes of Lummi about Bigfoot on the island. About I've heard all kinds of shit from Lummi.
He stole my
So,
parking spot.
huh?
He stole my parking spot. That guy owes me cigarettes. I've heard lots of stories too from him.
What's up, cousin?
But yeah, the Salish. Am I saying it right?
Salish Sea.
Yeah, Salish Sea. I would say
Salish.
has to have an alien base underneath it, if not a joint base.
What if there is nothing down there? Like, we get down there and it's all just like big ass animals and shit.
Yeah.
No bases, no aliens, no. Like, the closest thing to an alien you're gonna find is like some giant ass octopus.
Bullshit. Have you seen that fucking
Well,
Japanese crab?
they have different DNA, actually. Speaking of octopus, they have like alien extraterrestrial DNA.
Yeah, that's why I was saying that, like,
Yeah.
the
They have
only
their
extraterrestrial
DNA is
shit.
not like anything on this planet.
Right, the only extraterrestrial shit we're gonna find in the ocean
An
is
octopus.
a freaking octopus.
And that fucking crab.
And that giant ass crab from Japan, yes, Cole. Jesus. And those weird little jellyfish that live forever because they reincarnate themselves.
Well,
There are definitely mermaids, though, because there has been too many accounts all over the world in so many different cultures all throughout time of mermaid sightings. It just, I know that they are there.
Yeah, but sailors drink.
They also had scurvy, which can affect the brain if it's lasting too long.
They drink and they daydream. That's it. They drink and they daydream.
And you know how you get mirages in the desert? You get the same thing on the water if you're there long enough.
Seasick. Yep.
Okay, I've just looked it up on Google Maps. I do not have the exact location, but it's over by the Hein, H-E-I-N Bank. I'm looking at a topographical map.
Okay.
The Hein Bank?
H-E-I-N Bank. I'm looking at a topographical. Yeah, it's between Whidbey Island and the border of Canada.
Huh.
Ooh, Marine Area 7.
Ooh.
But I do have the longitude and latitude written down for the exact location. And I don't make any jokes about it when I say somebody with serious big ship, take me out, and you've got let's see if I still have that it's going to be bad, but stomach issue with the ETs, because I haven't tested it in 2 years. Tested it in 2020. I still had it in 2020.
Yeah. It's right off the Strait of Juan de Fuca.
Yeah.
Now, understand, and I don't know if you heard me before, but this is literally where the Cascadia subduction zone is.
Subduction.
Yeah. So it wouldn't surprise me if it's right on a subduction line. It wouldn't surprise me at all. But I don't honestly remember. It's been too many years. So, and too much stuff has happened. I mean, to feel what I did, the fact that I got so sick and so terrified just standing at that chain link fence going, oh my God. And to make the realization that I could pinpoint ETs that accurately freaked me out, up one side and down the other. So, yeah, specifically that race of ET. Because the other race of ET, I had
Well, you
them
know, this
standing in
all
my
leads-
home, and I didn't have a reaction like that.
It all leads to what?
Sorry, Joe.
No, is one of my questions for tonight. I mean, you say, "Oh, I've pinpointed the base." Well,
Yeah.
my question was going to be, I don't think they have a permanent base, you know, like a big bubble and with parks in it and stuff. I think they just take their big motherships and land them in the water. And if they want to move them, they'll just move them.
It's very possible.
Yeah.
I've been on a mothership before. The one that likes to take me is I saw it in 2019, in August of 2019. I actually freaking saw it, and it pissed me off because I was the only one who saw it, made mention of it, and then days later I get told by somebody else I didn't want it. Now, I'm not mad at the person. I totally freaking understand why they didn't say anything in front of everybody. But I'm the one who actually came out and said something, who's doing sky watches, and everybody else was like, what the hell are you talking about? There's nothing up there. And I'm like, they literally just freaking cloaked the ship as you're looking up. You can now see the stars through the freaking end bottom of the stupid... I was pissed. So here's the thing. This person came up a couple days later and said, I wanted you to know you're not the only person. I saw that same ship a number of hours later. It stayed above our area. And I estimated it at 3 football fields in length and approximately a football field wide. And when I talked to our Keith Andrews, he's like, Nikki, do you not realize that was not only a mothership, which of course I knew it was a mothership, but he said that's the crap, I just lost the words.
Consortium?
No, controllers. Those are the controllers. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, he calls them the controllers, and I was like, yeah, that makes sense, because they're the ones that are in my take on it. Eric's take, or not Eric's, Keith's take is very different on it than mine, but and understandably so. He remembers so much more of his than I remember of mine, but it's the ship where they go in, they do the abductions, and they do a lot of controlling of a lot of different things, and so that's, and I get that.
Like the motherboard.
Oh yeah, and I remember that ship. I remember other ships, but I remember that ship the most. And that's the ship where the walls, and nobody has described it to my satisfaction until recently. I heard, and I can't for the life of me find the stinking show I saw it on and heard it on, but there was an abductee on a show who described the walls shifting and moving a specific way, and it was and
I've heard of that.
Yeah, and she described it in such a way that I remember looking at my computer, screaming at my computer, going, "Oh my God, somebody else!" Because when I had not my last son, but the previous son before him, hybrid son, I mean, he, as an infant, he wasn't even an hour old. He literally jumped out of his nurse's hands and jumped with intention onto the wall as if he was a monkey, and the wall shifted into this form, into this shape. It was as if the ship was
alive,
doing exactly alive. It was as if
Like
the
a
walls.
Rubik's Cube.
To our energy.
Oh, it was more than a Rubik's Cube. Yeah, it was complete energy, and I thought I was losing my mind. I was standing there going, how is he jumping from here and 6 feet away? He's an infant. What the freak? And I mean, I lost my. And I had an ET stand behind me and say, Nikki, you need to calm down. And I'm like, but he's, and I remember getting told, it's okay. They'll come to you if you remember. And I went, oh. And so I instantly I did a great big sigh, calmed down, and I said, come to me now. And he, I must have been about 15 feet away, looked at me like I was nobody. And I said, now. And he literally jumped on the wall to wall, and the wall was catching him. I've never heard or seen, I do not have any other memories of this happening. And I'm like, I'm losing my mind. Yeah, Spider-Man. And that was the thing. I remember describing in my notes, his hands were like that of a monkey, the way he grabbed on. But yet, when he jumped into my hands, he instantly reverted into human form, human infant form. I held him like a human infant. And at birth, he was the size of our human 4-month-old. And I was just like, you're 4 months old. Why are you 4 months old? You were literally just, and my human brain couldn't grasp the concept. And here again, I have the ET standing behind me going, it's okay, Mom. And I went, oh, and it just kind of and then the human in me just kind of went, oh, and now I know what to do with an infant that's in my arms, that's my baby, and his eyes, he opened his eyes his eyes opened and looked at me, and he had and then his third eye on his forehead opened up, and I'm like, what?
Triclops.
Huh? And it freaked me out. And then I put him on my shoulder on the same side as my heart, and his eye closed. The second we had circadian rhythm, which is what the ETs call it, the very second his head tapped my shoulder, his third eye closed. It looked like there was no third eye, like a normal human forehead, and that was that. So yeah, I mean, that's just one ET experience. That's just one. I mean, I could tell you hundreds of different little things, and those aren't so little.
When's your book coming out?
Yeah, I know. I've been like, but see, that's what I keep telling the ETs. You've got to allow me to remember. I know you don't want me doing hypnosis because there are things in there that will traumatize me. This is the kind of stuff that I'm like, okay, I understand that. And they're now allowing me to have some of my memories back. And it's weird because it's like there's like a time shift on some of them. And so when we talk about underwater ETs, I have this distinct impression in my body that I've been in an underwater ET base, but I don't know why I have that sensation. I have no idea why. But yet I also know that I've been off planet. I know that, so it's like instinct. They're like just different things that are instinct, and this is not supposed to be the Nikki show. So, but the underwater thing, yeah, there are ET bases underwater.
So how far back do you think this goes? Because if Columbus, in his diaries, actually was talking in the 1400s, these lights that were coming and going out of the water, now could it have been a trick of the stars or moonlight? It's possible. But he's very specific with his diaries.
Okay, but you're thinking
what
too
I
early.
Know, what I know is that we were, and this is how the ETs have told me, your race was, quote, and this is a direct quote from them, you were seeded on this planet. That is how it's been classified to me. you are seeded on this planet.
Mm-hmm.
Boy, let me tell you, that really, when I started remembering that and I started asking them questions in the last 3 years because I started having memories again, because I remembered up until about 7 years old, 8 years old, until about 7 years old, until I had that ET standing at the foot of my bed and I started screaming. Then they kind of went, you're not going to be allowed to remember anymore. And I'm like, well, F you. You know?
Yeah, the fear
So-
triggers things.
So-
Yeah.
So we can't see
Yeah,
them the
so
same.
What do you
yeah,
mean, Cole?
yeah, that's what I was going to ask.
When did Columbus talk about lights in the sky? You
No,
remember?
what I'm saying is, you're asking.
1492.
how far back this goes. That's when he sailed the ocean blue.
Actually, Columbus never said it. It was his the captain on the boat he was on had it in his journal, and he discussed what Columbus was seeing.
Okay.
And these guys were mariners. They were on the ocean all the time.
Right.
So they didn't get tricked by the stars and the moon.
No, absolutely.
You know, they were used to seeing things in the ocean.
I was a sea
But what
captain
I'm
in
saying-
one of my lifetimes. You do not, when you're on the water all the frickin' time, from what I remember, and Joe is exactly right, you do not, you know what you see. So, I mean, you especially...
Yeah, you don't get tricked by the stars and the moon. And
No, I wouldn't
Exactly.
think so.
So if something was
But
said...
you have to play devil's
he's
advocate
saying it.
when you're talking about these topics.
Yes, exactly. Because I'm in full agreement with that. I mean, I question my own. I mean, I have no problem in saying I question my own frickin' memories because there are times I feel like I'm a frickin' loon. You know, like I'm some Fruit Loop, batshit crazy woman. And I've been told, well, because you think that doesn't, you're not. And I'm like, yeah, but still. And yet I'm an ET abductee. I'm a psychic medium, and I mean, just because I would question me, hell, I was raised to question.
Do you think the pyramids in the bottom of the ocean have anything to do with any of these bases or UFO, USO craft sightings, or totally separate topic?
I think that's a different subject. I think those are different civilizations that have yet to be determined. Excuse me.
What do you think, Rick?
There are.
Well, honestly, when it comes to the USO, I was actually about to ask the question, is there a possibility that some of our missing ships, or the Bermuda Triangle, I know aliens get brought up all the time with that, but would it be possible that that's just their way, they're picking certain people off or picking things up and taking them away from, and maybe that's the explanation for our the great mysteries, the Mary Celeste, the missing, the Avenger, the military flight that went missing.
Yeah, the five airplanes that went down. They had a search and rescue plane that went down. All in one, all in one mission.
Well, now, do you realize that there's more than just one triangle?
Oh, absolutely.
There's one Bermuda Triangle. There's one Bermuda Triangle.
Absolutely.
And
There's like
There's one in
Triangle.
Michigan, like Lake Michigan.
There's 7 of them across the globe. If I'm not mistaken, there's 7 or 8 of them across the entire globe.
Right.
So that to me suggests that there's some kind of magnetic interference that is coming up from the ocean, from the core.
Think bigger. It could be coming from the core of the planet.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what I mean. It's coming up and it's bubbling up in very specific sections, and it's screwing with everything and making things go down. Now, what fascinates me is why aren't they taking? And of course, that goes right back into the Bermuda, the lore of the Bermuda Triangle. Why can't ships go in that have the scientific equipment and find those aircraft or those ships that have disappeared?
Exactly.
I have an answer for you on that.
Go for it.
There's just like the Devil's Triangle that we have over off of Japan. They have one called the Dragon's Triangle, and they had a ship that disappeared. A couple of planes that disappeared. So the Japanese government and the Navy, they put this huge ship together that had all the scientists on it and all the recording data, and they were going to go out and find out what was going on, and that ship disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
No trace.
What was the other one? Yeah,
Coast of
there's
Japan, the
another
water's
one.
extremely deep.
Go ahead. What?
Oh, I was just going to say, off the coast of Japan, the water gets extremely deep. So you're talking,
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
like way down in the Bermuda Triangle.
That's where the Mariana Trench is.
That's just what I was going to say.
Yeah. Yeah.
So the presumption would be, okay, well, that'd be a little bit harder to find a ship necessarily. I mean, they did find a couple of the destroyers from World War II way down recently.
Well, actually,
they had an idea of
the Devil's Triangle. The Devil's Triangle off the East Coast, half of it is very shallow, but half of it drops down to the abysmal sea. I mean, we can't get down there.
Right.
So,
Okay.
So, and we focus so much on space, whereas we don't know near as much as we need to about our own planet.
Well, we're focusing right now, too, on just oceans. I
Right.
mean, if you think about it, like Lake Michigan and all these other freaking places, okay, there's got to be something down there, too. It's hella deep as well.
Well, and that's interesting. I've read reports on UFOs that were actually coming and going up and down rivers.
Yes.
Let alone
Hudson.
they're right. They're lights seen in the water that are going up and down rivers. They're coming in out of lakes, not just the ocean. So it makes you.
Catalina Island.
Well, it makes you wonder if there's any, and I'm going to sound like a quack here, but it makes you wonder if there's any validity to the hollow Earth theory, and if these guys are coming and going out of a hollow Earth.
Interesting.
Or
Well, they'd have to be able.
is there a base? I mean,
Or Earth is a megastructure, just like the moon.
right?
Okay, I've been on the moon. I can't believe I'm saying this. They
Okay.
transported. Not me. Are you fucking kidding me? They transported me. This is during one of the times in the last 2 to 2.5 years to where I woke up in my conscious. I woke up in one of my 3 clone bodies, and Keith and I will probably have real disagreements over this because I just heard him talk about this, and I was like, nope, disagree with that, but that was okay. But I woke up in my clone body on a ship, and I knew somehow that I had been transported to an ET ship. I had gone to the moon, and from the moon I was transported to Mobius, that's a whole nother subject. And I was also transported onto another ship. I don't understand why all the different progressions. I don't understand that. I just know that it happened. And that was during the time when I had an ET standing, an 8-foot tall female ET standing to my right, who was, lack of better terminology, reptilian, kind of mantis. And she had bent backward legs, but she was military. She was completely dressed in military, and I was in my clone body, my 34-year-old clone body, and I had a human female who was just waking up in her female body to my left. And we had gone to the moon, and I know that with what Keith talks, with what Keith talks about the moon, I agree with him that it's an entire planet, but it's not hollow. Yeah. What happened?
Hello?
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 Yes.
What
Okay,
happened?
we're all still here.
You're
I'm not
off?
sure what.
Hello?
Hello?
Hello.
I can hear you guys. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you and I can
Yeah.
hear
I can hear
Joe,
everybody.
Something happened with Kayla and Cole.
Oh, how strange.
Oh,
And Eric?
well.
Huh?
Did they
I
end the
just heard
show?
them a
or-
second ago.
Yeah, I heard him a second ago saying something about we'll deal with it after the show, and now I don't hear him at all.
Hmm.
All right, well, I'm
they're
offline. Let's see what I can come up with here. Spreaker. KR.com. Oh, perfect. S4 bunker. Ooh, that called it just right.
Hey, hang on. I've got somebody in the house that's actually listening. Let me go ask her if she can hear us.
Oh, that would be good.
Can you still
Right.
hear us? You hear all of us, but you don't. Okay.
Okay, good.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I can hear Rick and Harmony and Nikki, and
Okay, so
Yeah,
there's
you
four of
guys
us.
are just fine.
Yeah,
Oh, no, we're here.
You're there?
Okay.
Yeah, it's just guys.
There they are.
We haven't been able to say shit. You gotta like, every time we start talking, someone takes over. Like, so we stopped. We laughed. We actually turned our mics off.
That's okay, floor is yours. Oh, God.
Like, it would just kind of.
I'm
Like, I
trying to
haven't
figure
even
out what the hell happened to you.
I haven't even heard Harmony talk in like an hour.
I got a few words in here and there.
Yeah. Yeah, you had some great stuff. I appreciate that.
Oh Lord.
Yeah.
Well,
Like, mic drop. Yep.
It got real quiet now.
So the lights that you were talking about coming out of lakes and things, do you think those could even be like fairy or fey creatures? Like
You know what?
there's the stories of water sprites and.
Here's the thing. So with the Fae, yes, you do have you have two sides of the Fae spectrum. You have the ones that they're alien. You have some that think they're alien. There's some that think they're demon.
but the ones that come out of water would still fall under USO because they are unidentified.
No,
when they do
absolutely.
it.
But
Right.
you don't find Fae that come out of water.
Water horse.
Not in lore. Not in the written.
Oh yeah, sprites.
Well,
Yeah,
sprites,
yeah, and they
but
often will
okay,
come out like Tinkerbell in little balls of light.
but they would be so minute. They wouldn't be the
can't-
same.
What about like a water horse?
They can travel in different sizes of light.
They
And
can.
it's kind of like interesting. It's like the mothership that's so big that some people don't even
Right.
notice. You know?
And I'm not disputing that. I'm just saying, when you're looking at little tiny orb balls of light, the objects people talk about as USOs are fairly large. They move rapid, pretty much straight up. Some of them go diagonal or horizontal,
Mhm.
but I couldn't see. Just my opinion. I couldn't see them as being fake.
Faye.
We have enough.
What do you think, Cole?
Friend, I honestly don't know anything about the Fae because me and them don't get along.
No, you don't.
You
He
need to
get-
just leave them more offerings.
No, he gets bit by them. He gets welts.
Well, then
and
you
shit.
definitely need to leave them offerings. They like shiny things and little smelly herbs and things.
I took shiny
So
things
you
to
know.
them. I took hedge clippers.
You know, and that reminds me of a case we had.
Yeah,
We had a case on the
that
peninsula.
could be why.
We had a case on the peninsula where these people were having. You were with us on that one, I think.
Oh, great, that's where they came from.
No, fuck.
No?
I never went to the peninsula.
So, they had all kinds of crazy shit going on in their house. And we go in the house, and I mean, seriously, no shit, they've got a cross on one wall, they've got a pentacle on another wall, they've got, I don't know, a rosary over on another side, Native American dream catcher in a window. It reminded me of the Mummy, where the guy's, pulling out every religious emblem he could think of to keep me killed. And I'm going, well, here's part of your problem. You've got nothing but chaos with religious cultures. What are you doing? Well, we were trying to do everything to get rid of it. No, you pick one. So we go out in the yard, and they've got a fairy altar that's been sitting there. And I'm like, well, okay. So you have a real nice fairy shrine here. When's the last time you actually gave them, cakes and ale or something? Oh, you're supposed to do that? Are you fucking shitting me? No wonder you have problems. Okay, so here's what you do.
Yeah.
Kids need to go out every 3 days, maybe once a week, whatever pieces of fae, and leave cakes and ale on it. That's one. 2, get rid of all this religious stuff on your walls, or pick one. But, no, you're pissing off a lot of different spirits, for one, because, okay, you got the Catholic spirit over here, it's going, what the fuck's a pentacle doing on the wall? And you got, the Native American...
I'll tell you, in all defense, you're kind of describing my house, and I don't have problems.
No.
And
I get that.
No, it's all a different language for the same thing, and if your intentions are aligned properly, is the key. And I think that's what you're basically saying, is their intentions were scattered. Right.
But these people, they didn't really have a religion. They were just they were so, I guess, desperate to find something.
But that's the thing, too.
Yeah, they didn't understand that the tools were just that, tools. That it was really the intentions behind it that charged it with the energies that would,
there was no intention
clear different entities or.
But everything on you probably ticked them off a little. Huh? Everything on you probably ticked them off a little. They're like, depending on how old the spirit is, they're wondering, what the hell is that thing in your pocket that keeps buzzing? They're wondering, why are you wearing those kind of clothes? What the hell's wrong with you? Friend, what the hell are things in front of your eyes?
Well, what was curious too is there was red dust that was, there was red brick all over underneath the house. Like red dust. I mean, somebody had done something there long before they'd moved there. And she took us to a storage room where the landlord stored his stuff. And I mean, there was this relics. I mean, oh my God, the whole house, the whole property was nothing but chaos. So, yeah, if you're going to do anything involving the Fae, you have to, one, know to honor them. You just don't poke at them, or they're going to poke back.
Yeah, don't take your shears to them.
They'll take more than your shoes.
No kidding.
They'll take all
Okay,
your...
that's actually
double check the bushes for hummingbird nests.
Hummingbirds aren't real.
I know I'm getting off topic, but that's actually a question I have for Nikki.
What?
Nikki, you have spirits from all generations visiting you.
Oh, God. Yeah, everything under the frickin' sun. What do you want to know?
Do the things in your house that are new technology bother them?
No.
No?
Not usually. Matter of fact, they have a tendency to use it. Like right now, my camera goes in and out of focus. A lot of times when that happens, it usually means because I've got a spirit standing behind me and I'm not recognizing it deliberately. They get a little annoyed with that. So, but not usually. I mean, I'll get like, if I have a spirit that wants my attention, that like really freaking wants my attention, they will start screwing with the lights. Or they'll start screwing with my camera. Like right now, my camera, it just constantly in and out of focus. And I literally stopped moving, and it was like, doo-doo, doo-doo. It's like, drives me nuts.
Yeah.
So that's right in my face.
I think that's where a lot of the technology got inspired from, like for the spirit boxes that people have, where they allow an interface for that spirit to come through and change subtly our physical reality through energetics.
Yeah, because they honestly seem like, when you look at what most ghost explorers use, it's very basic shit when it comes to like technologically. And it's a battery and a light with a small circuit board. That's it. It produces a sound or turns a dial, but like, there's nothing really beyond that, other than the FLIR camera.
Like a radio receiver.
The FLIR camera I don't trust. Because there's pockets of different temperatured air everywhere.
And we will get into that next week.
That's true. It was a good segue, though. For
yeah, the cool thing is when the different colored temperature air is like in a body shape where there's no one that you can see actually standing. With your physical eyes.
I'll get. I'll have whether it's one of the hierarchies get my attention. If I'm not paying attention, they don't bother with electronics. I'll get screamed at. They'll come and talk to me, and if I'm not hearing them because I'm either not feeling good or I'm literally not hearing them because they're using my old energy level that I was at, to where now they have to talk at a much louder level for me, which I'll get yelled at. But the spirits, like even ancient family, will come in and they'll find. I've had my TV for no apparent reason fly with sound, and I'm like, okay, I'm wearing headphones. Don't screw with Nikki's sound on her TV if Nikki's got headphones on. You don't need to blow my eardrums out. Thank you so very much. But typically, it's I'm the one. If it's a computer, if it's a laptop, or my cell phone, it's usually my energy that screws with electronics. But if they want my attention and I'm not paying attention for whatever reason, health or whatever, it's usually the light bulbs. There are other ways. There are a lot of other ways that they'll get attention, but regarding electronics, that's usually what I know other people where they will screw with person's electronics in all sorts of ways. But they don't do it with...
I have this lamp that my grandmother, my Nana, she actually communicates with us through this lamp. And every now and then, it'll just, like, it's this old, like, milk glass, little old nightstand lamp. And it has, like, the twist-on switch, like, where you had to twist it on. And every now and then, all of a sudden, it'll come on. And, going off is one thing, like the twisting could, like, untwist. But this, like, you have to really kind of twist it quite hard to get it to turn on, and it will just flicker on. And then I immediately think of my Nana, and I even usually smell her scent. And I'm like, oh, there's Nana again. You know, it was her lamp. So it's like a really easy way for her to connect with me. Not only, you know, because it was hers, but also because the energy that I think of when I look at it or see it or feel it, you know.
Right on. Love hearing that. That's awesome.
Mm-hmm. Validated.
We have
Yes.
5 minutes left.
Definitely.
I want to hear about this Japanese freaking thing.
What Japanese thing?
Joe. I want to know that story. Joe, are you still here?
Joe.
No?
His light shows that he's still here.
The light's on, but
Funny, because my Nana's husband's name was Joe. My papa.
There you are.
I hit my cough button and never turned it back on.
Oh.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to know what's up with this Japanese one. I'm right with it's Japanese, right?
Yeah, it's a Buni,
yeah, Japan.
18th century. There's a lot of stories about her. Vaguely, I can remember that she showed up, and it was actually in a craft that was round that came out of the ocean onto the beach. She got out, taught people things, taught them how to do stuff. They said she looked human, but there was something odd about her. She was around for a while, and she ended up climbing back into the thing. I don't know how long she stayed there, but I mean, the stories are everywhere. She might have even went to see the emperor at one point.
Yeah.
But then she got back in her little craft, and out to sea she went.
Yeah, and they described it like a fishing boat, if I remember right.
And she was able to see the emperor in the
Yeah,
1800s.
it was...
That's insane.
Huh?
The fact that she was able to see the emperor of Japan in the 1800s is insane.
Right?
Yeah, nobody got to see the emperor
Well,
of
they probably
Japan.
saw her
Nobody.
come out of the ship, and they're like, "Oh, we're taking her to the emperor," and
Right.
made her, forced her.
Instead of gods from the sky,
She's
or
like,
gods
"Well,
from the sea.
you humans
didn't call
don't
her a
realize
god.
that was my plan after all."
They call her Itso Brune, I think.
Yeah,
Brune, I
that
don't
sounds
know
right.
how to say
That
that
sounds
in
right.
Japanese.
And that's really one of the first real, and you're right, it's well written in Japanese lore. It's well documented.
Huh.
How do you spell that?
Yeah, they didn't write it as two guys saw it. Everybody saw this, and they wrote it down as a fact. And that was the town, the whole countryside. Everybody saw this woman, and they described the strange things that she did. And
so when I taught Forest Moon Paranormal Training, that's actually one of the cases I discussed in the UFO training, was Bruno.
Okay, so I have a question about ETs and when they land in, like, Japan and different places like that. Okay, how come they only land in the places that they look like the race of? Or do they have some kind of way of manipulating their faces to look like the locals?
Well, shapeshifters do it all the time.
Or do they have some, like, magical enchantment on the viewer, that the viewer sees what they're
sees them
comfortable
as,
with?
like, because, like, all of the...
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was just saying that, like, all of the pictures and everything you have, they look like the culture that they landed in.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
Well, I don't know about that, but I know about the fact that they have the ability. It's not magic. It's literally, they are thousands of years advanced than we are, and the ability that they have to use their consciousness and to be able to project images into our mind. Here's an example of this. I had an ET. This is when they wanted me to read to get, and this is graphic but not graphic, they wanted my eggs. And in order for them to go about the eggs, they needed my body to do certain things. And so they projected images into my head a specific way. And yet I was consciously looking at the ET while I was on a table. And yet I knew that what I was, and they finally closed my eyes because I knew what they were doing. And they have a way to where they can project into a human's mind, because a human's brain is not strong enough. We are not trained well enough in order to protect our mind from that kind of invasive, and it is invasive.
Well, it's called screen memory.
Yeah, it is a screen memory, but it's also an invasive form of mind rape.
Okay.
But it is a screen memory, and they can project. So you can be walking down a street and actually see. And this is what Keith talks about very publicly, about the fact he knows when he sees an ET because he can feel their energy. They have a specific, and he's right. They do. They have a very specific energy, but they're also extremely good at hiding that energy, and they're extremely good at projecting what they want to appear as. And it's not about magic. It's literally about controlling the view of everybody else, and yet at the same time, it's a form of projection, is what it is.
Well, and
project manipulation.
It's really no different than people that have been abducted, taken to the woods, walked out of their bed, and described deer and owls, and that's screen memory.
Yes.
But the thing that can't hide always was the eyes. So anything with big eyes, like the deer and the owl, the grays have big eyes. So they can't hide that fact. So they have to use an animal that has big eyes, so they kind of match with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
That makes sense.
I did have one last question before we close out, because I know we're like over a little bit. But, the Pentagon came out with their congressional briefing here, last year, or was it 2 years ago now? And
congressional? Last year.
It was last spring.
So when they brought up USOs, all of a sudden the Navy guy is like, well, we're going to talk about that in a closed session. Why do you think they would be so concerned, other than, classified projects, but if it was extraterrestrial, and they're talking about UFOs, they're here, kind of crap, why do you think a USO would be any different?
Because they have too much shit down there that's ours.
Because they can't catch them either.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about UFOs because the Air Force can't fucking catch them. They don't want to talk about USOs because the Navy can't catch them. Who wants to admit that they're fast? That there's something faster?
I just found it interesting.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah. But we'll talk about
I think what they have going there is that the Navy, none of their sightings are visual.
That too.
So they would have to go with sonar and whatever equipment they have for detecting things. They'd have to give out ideas and secrets. They can't say, "Oh, it was a weather balloon. Oh, it was a trick of the light."
Okay.
You can't say that
Swamp
about
gas.
something that one of your submarines detects underwater.
Swamp gas. It was swamp gas.
They have to go, we had technology that detected it, and at that point, there's no swamp gas in the ocean. There's no weather balloons in the ocean.
Well,
Venus isn't in the ocean.
Go ahead, Rick.
Isn't there video taken from...
There's video of them coming in and out of the water.
Okay. The Navy pilots had seen them actually moving underwater at high speed. That they had, I guess maybe one of the ships had picked them up. And
they said they saw stuff under the water. The water was bubbling.
Yeah, and lights. I've heard a lot of reports from sailors. I won't say, sailors in the Navy that saw lights coming and going out of the out of the
Right.
water.
So wouldn't they just say that it's a giant effervescent jellyfish and call it good?
Well,
Like, I mean, if they were gonna fucking lie about
not
it.
when they're flying.
What's that bad one? The one with the little light bulb in front of his head.
Ooh.
An angler?
Yeah, it's one of those.
It can't be an anglerfish.
Anglerfish.
They only live on the bottom of the ocean. They would die from pressure. Never mind.
I don't
Anyway,
In my cartoon, they live up here.
anyway, on that note, we do need to close out the show. Next week we will be talking about hauntings in all their forms.
Ooh, formal hauntings. Boo.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, in fact, speaking of hauntings, I posted a little short video of my hallway. I don't know if it's a haunting or not. I'll let you guys look at it and think about it. It's on the instant message for this room, and
Cool.
it was something. There was no one in the house. The video was going. No one had been in the house for 2 weeks, and something covered one of the lights in the hallway for about 20 minutes, and then it faded away. It
So,
wasn't a brownout. It wasn't electrical.
how about
What?
this?
The light that gets covered is just like the one you see at the far end of the hallway.
Hold on, Joe.
There's a little
Let's
shark.
do this. Everyone in the chat, your homework for this week, watch that video.
Come to your
Yeah.
Come to
conclusion.
your conclusions, and that's what we're starting with next week.
Okay.
Okay?
Cool.
Okay.
Cool.
All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening. Friend, thank you to the panel for joining us. We're the fuck out.
Night.
Yep. Good night.
People.
Good night.
Data transfer complete. System malfunction. Please evacuate immediately. Program terminated.
Son of a biscuit eater.